Greetings viewers, how y'all doing today? Adventurer Link here, back again with another video for you guys. You know, cause it's YouTube and we make videos on YouTube. Before I get started, as always, when I remember to do so, of course, I want to say that if it's your birthday or you recently had a birthday, congratulations and happy birthday. Go out and make it a good one. And we're just getting over the 2015 holiday season, so hope you had a good Hanukkah, good Christmas, good Boxing Day. Hope you had some good deals on Boxing Day. Hope your Kwanzaa was a good one too. And here's to a successful and happy 2016 New Year. And remember, my YouTube channel, my rules, and I'll post as I please. So if this little spiel about this little positive intro is going to get you all butthurt or offended, well, screw off. In any case, today's video I'm going to show you guys how to make a pot of chili. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to take your meat of choice, you know, like ground beef, ground turkey, ground chicken, ground pork, ground venison, whatever. Put it in a plate and put it in the microwave and defrost it. Or you can otherwise let it thaw out like in the fridge until it becomes, you know, nice and squishy and firm like this. Also, you definitely want to wash your hands before handling food, by the way, which I already did. Okay, so I do want to go over a few things about hand washing and the red stuff in the plate. First off, you know, you got all that red stuff in the plate after defrosting, what do? Good question. You can either dump it into your grease jar, which I'll go over the use of that in a moment, or you can always run hot water down the sink and pour it and drain it out that way. As for the hand washing, well, I'm kind of a little super paranoid about hand washing personally when I'm handling food. Like, if I'll unpackage the meat, you know, unpackage the meat, put it in the plate, wash my hands, put it in the microwave, let it defrost, get it out of the microwave, put it in the pan, drain the meat juice, and wash my hands. Then after that, like if after I cook the meat and then I'm gonna handle, say, the raw vegetables and cut those up, wash my hands. Or if I'm gonna put stuff in the pan, like say the meat, the beans, and the chili powder before I go on, you know, I'll put those in first, then wash my hands, and then cut up the raw vegetables, and then wash my hands after handling the raw vegetables. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to put your meat in the pulp and your pan. Put it on like mid-range heat. Then start the process of browning your meat. You can also use your spatula here to, you know, chop up your meat and turn it around. Personally, I always make my chunks of meat like really small. You can make yours chunkier or smaller. And this is all over. It's going to mostly be all small because, you know, I guess either I get too nervous too easy or I get bored too easy. So I'm always just leaning over here whenever I brown meat like this all the time, and also turning it over. Another thing about meat is that, especially with ground beef, I'm not sure why it is, but it's almost always is with ground beef. You may notice, like, if you go to the store, you know, you get like 73-23, which is ground beef, 80-20 for ground chuck, 85-15 for ground round, 90-10 for ground sirloin, and extra lean. Some people set it at 93.7, others set it at 94.6. Don't ask why, they just do. But that's your lean to fat content. I found that, you know, with the higher lean to fat content, it'll brown quicker, but the problem is that it'll make a lot of grease and fat in your pan, which that's no good because you'll have to drain that out later. The more lean it is, the less meat, the less grease and fat you'll have. And I've always found that if you're using ground turkey or ground venison, grease and fat really isn't too much of a problem. Additionally, with ground beef versus extra lean sirloin, the difference between as you go up and up in the lean to fat ratio is your prices. Like ground beef is 73.27. Again, it's going to be your cheapest cut of meat, whereas your extra lean sirloin, like I said, is like either 93.10, 94 or 93.7 94.6, but it's also going to be your most expensive cuts of meat too. And of course, as you go along and as you drain this out, or let this brown up, of course you'll want to dump it in a grease jar. Be careful though. This is what these little glass jars are awesome for. These little these little coffee jars, tea jars, pickle jars. You can also use those as your grease storage jars. As you can see, I'm getting all the grease and fat out of this meat. So pretty much all you got to do from here is just keep turning this over and over and over. And keep chopping up your meat with the spatula until it becomes nice and brown. Okay, so in this particular picture here, when I filmed the shot, this was the best shot that I could get for the panhandle position as well as the grease jar, which FYI is the little coffee jar in the back hiding behind the bread. I got a couple safety tips for you to keep in mind. First off, with the panhandle position, as it's positioned over the stove, that's actually a good safety practice to get into, because say if you're watching over little kids and you know how curious they get, you know they're going to yank down the panhandle, get themselves burned and or make a mess, and it's not going to be fun for all involved. Additionally, someone might not be paying attention, run into your panhandle, and possibly cause the same safety hazard. Also, with the grease jar, when you drain the grease/fat, keep that stuff as far away from the open flame as possible, because grease fires are no fun to put out. Also, if you do make a mess, make sure you get some tissues or some napkins or paper towels and wipe it up as soon as you can. Remember, safety, structural integrity, quality, the right tools and parts for the job, and doing the job right the first time, every time are number one. I will see to that and I will call it out. I now return you to your regularly scheduled filmed recipe already in progress. Okay, so as you can see, I scooped up a little sample of my chili here. Pretty much all you need to make chili with is, some chili powder, meat, beans. Although if you're from Cincinnati, all you need is just meat chopped up just like this, and the chili powder, and some cheese, and some spaghetti. But whenever I make homemade chili, I like to have beans. So there it is. I've got dry kidney beans, dry small red beans, and some black beans from a can. So ideally, that's pretty much all you need. Like I said, all I need to make chili. But what if you want to optionally, put in more fixins or more spices and all that? Good question. As you can see, I've got several colors of bell peppers cut up. I've got an orange one locked and loaded here, but unfortunately, as you can see, I only have enough room for 3 colors. Additionally, I've got mushrooms as well. Of course, you can always put in more peppers like jalapenos, sriracha's, habaneros, things like that. Yay for more open-ended recipes. Woohoo! As for spices, this is a small sample of what you can use. I've got ground white pepper and ground black pepper. You can also use like ground red pepper, paprika, sage. Of course, if you get 6 of them together, you can always seal Ganondorf back into the to the Temple of Time. Okay, enough Ocarina of Time references. Let's get back to this. You can also use like chipotle seasonings and jalapeno seasonings from Mrs. Dash, etc. Again, more open-ended recipe. Yay! Okay, so as for your chili powders, you can use pretty much anything you want. If you have, if you're on like say salt restrictions or low sodium or anything like that, I've got this Mrs. Dash here, which is salt free. See, it even says that on the bag here, salt free. Just in case you happen to miss the nutrition facts, see, 0 milligrams of sodium per serving. Additionally, there's this chili powder here that's ironically called Cincinnati Recipe Chili Mix. Can barely make it out because the logo's been torn off. There's a couple examples of chili powder. There's plenty of others you can grab. I want to take a moment here to talk about the beans. Like I said, here's the small red beans and the light red kidney beans from the spoon sample earlier. The thing with these beans in a bag is that you have to let these soak like overnight or at least 8 hours or so before you can cook it. This is especially important if you plan on making stovetop chili. If you're going to do that, you might as well just get canned beans. Unless you feel like soaking these overnight. But if you're slow cooking it, you can always cook it as you go, which is why we have these beans in a bag here. That way it'll cook up. Now the thing with beans though is that's why I said about using canned beans if you're going to make stovetop versus these if you're going to soak these overnight, is that if you make these too soft, they're not going to be good and they're not going to be as firm. But it's especially true if you're going to slow cook it. But on the other hand, if you don't let these hard beans soak enough, then you can make choking hazards, bust teeth, and cause gas too, and all that stuff. So you don't want that either. So, if you're going to slow cook it, I would personally use these hard beans in the bag. Otherwise, if you're going to stove top it, either let these soak overnight or just go ahead and use canned beans. Okay, so I put all my spices and my optional fixings in to make this chili look a bit more complete. Now let's actually take a moment to talk about slow cooking versus stovetop. Now, of course, the advantage of the slow cooker is like I said about the beans. You can just cook the beans as you go, especially like with the hard beans. You can put them in and then cook them as you go. They can soak and cook at the same time. Additionally, slow cooking, brings out more of the flavor of the meat, spices, vegetables, and all that, which makes for a much more satisfying dish. Of course, the disadvantages with the slow cooker is, as the name implies, it's a slow cooker. So, it's going to take a while to cook up, usually about 6-8 hours, which is fine, if you're making this like at the start of the day, when the husband or wife, whatever, goes to work, you can get the chili going. By the time all the kids and the husband and wife come home, you can sit down to a nice cooked bowl of chili. Additionally, because it is a slow cooker, that means you're gonna have to sit here and babysit this whole pot here like as long as possible, just in case fires or it overflows or it gets too hot or whatever. Now let's talk about stove topping. The advantage of the stove topping is that it makes for a quicker meal. Like say 10 minutes to brown the meat, then you put your water in, then you put your rest of your fixings in, then let it sit and boil, stir it around, and it should be done, within another 20-30 minutes. So that makes for a quicker meal. So you don't have to babysit this as long. But unfortunately, with the stovetop, is that like I said about the beans, if you're going to use the hard beans like these beans in a bag, you'll have to soak those overnight. Otherwise, you'll have to use canned beans. Additionally, the spices and flavorings out of your fixings, meat, and spices are not going to get brought out as well on the stovetop when compared to a slow cooker. So ideally, it's up to you how you want to cook it. Personally, I used to always put it on the stovetop. This time I'm attempting a slow cook. So it's been about 7.5 hours since we last checked in here, and these pots of chili are looking pretty good. Now I just got to get some sketty done, and we're good to go. And of course, no pot of chili is complete without your spaghetti. I got this box of spaghetti here, regular. Of course, you can always use thin spaghetti. Thin spaghetti doesn't take as long to cook as say regular spaghetti. But at least with regular spaghetti, you get more meat, so to speak, out of regular spaghetti than thin. So, it depends upon if you want more meatier spaghetti or if you want to make it cook faster. Of course, you can always use any kind of pasta you please, Pasta's pasta's pasta. It's going to taste all the same, regardless if it's egg noodles, spaghetti noodles, shells, bows, whatever. Oh, hey, here we go. There's the cooking directions. It's pretty much how you make spaghetti. So that's it. That's all there is to making chili. One plate of the finished product is up for your viewing pleasure. Hopefully, it's going to get you hungry for your own pot of chili. So, with that being said, it's going to stay up for the entire closing. I'm going to close by, as always, saying I'm Adventure Link. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your watching my videos. Don't forget to share with your friends. Don't forget to rate, subscribe. It's in the video description. Appreciate your rates and subscriptions. Take all the comments down in the comment section. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, praise, criticisms, well wishes, etc. But no flames fighting, spam baiting, or other such butthurt comments. It's starting to get a little nibbly outside, so make sure you stay warm, bundle up. And eating my chili is the best way to accomplish this goal. Don't forget to also eat right, stay active, stay hydrated, and stay healthy. Don't let others push you around. And I'm going to close this off as always by quoting the wise words of wisdom from Eric the Car Guy, reminding all y'all out there to be safe, have fun, and of course, stay dirty. But stay clean whenever you're trying to make food, especially your hands. See you next time. Have a nice day.